Welcome back to the podcast. Y'all are just checking in with your two favorite people on the internet. It is yours truly, everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Don Don. Obviously joined by my virtual half here, my good brother Qualls, aka
Mr. Qualified, how y'all doing?
yes, yes. And if y'all are watching this, you can see that we are just checking in with a new face. So, Qualls, who do we have joining us today?
Yes, absolutely. Such a good friend, watcher, listener of the podcast, colleague, daily devotional buddy, as I like to call her, as we consider ourselves to be in the office. But Leigh Ann Clayton is joining us today. I will let her do her own introduction and kind of spend a little bit more time talking about who she is. But yes, please, Leigh Ann, kind of let the people know a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for letting me join the podcast. I've been watching and I just felt like I got to be a part of this somehow. I'm a lover of podcasts, true crime. I live true crime, and scary movies. So this month is super special because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well as Halloween month. So
Oh, okay, spooky season and hopefully healthy season if we're in preventative care. So, amen.
absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
before we get into things, because we always got to check in. So, you mentioned the true crime podcast. What's on your list of what you're watching or
I
listening
just
to,
looked
rather?
one up. So, Springfield, Missouri has, well, so does Columbia, but a high crime list down there. But there is one that's really interesting. I listened to it over and over. It's called the Springfield Three. It is about two high school seniors who graduate from high school, Kickapoo, and then they go to their graduation parties, but then they go to one of the girls' house to sleep. And the two girls plus one of the girls' moms never been seen again. And there's just, I mean, it's been 30 years and nothing. So, Springfield 3, if you're interested, it's interesting. It's been on pretty much every crime show, Unsolved Mysteries. So it's pretty good. Pretty good. You should look into it.
Okay, I have a lot of friends who are true crime enthusiasts for the podcast, at least. So I'm gonna have to ask them to see. But yeah, I follow Sisters Who Kill from time to time, and then a couple of other ones that I can't think of the name. You made a face, Qualls.
This
It's
with Hill
two
is crazy.
Sisters Who Kill, great name, right? It's two black girls, friends, and they basically retell and recant these true crime stories
Hmm.
in a culturally connected way. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't feel like I do true crime like podcast, but I do like watching true crime like shows or documentaries. Uh all the monster series have been good on Netflix. I just don't like the fact that two of the monsters were based in Wisconsin, so not giving our state a really good rap there, but we'll move on. But yes, a major reason why we are here today and the topic that we'll be discussing is as Leanne kind of mentioned, her personal journey, but also dealing with and navigating breast cancer. And so really we'll just kind of give the floor to you to kind of just give us the lay of the land of your personal journey, kind of tell us in your words how you came to, learn that you had it and just what was that first moment of like, oh, I like this is real. I have this thing and I kind of know what comes with this, but I'm not sure what's next still. So yeah, just kind of lay it out for us.
Yeah. Well, I'll start off with when I first I was working out at the gym in October, actually in 2021. We were doing some arm exercises and we were doing some pull downs, and I remembered pulling down, and on my right side, I felt like this sharp pain in my armpit. So I reached, did the typical, like, what is that? And I could feel too, which you could tell it's when it's your lymph nodes because they swell everywhere on your body. But felt two lumps, and my sister-in-law just happened to be standing next to me, and her mother passed away actually 25 years from that year, 2021, from breast cancer. And so her first initial thoughts was, you probably should get that checked out. Um, I actually happened to have a doctor's appointment in December of 2021 already scheduled. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait and go then. at that time, my physician did not feel that the two lumps were amounted to anything. And me not advocating for myself, I said, okay. And so as the months went on, we get to January and they're still there and they're not going away. And I'm like, something's not right. But I'm listening to the doctor thinking this can't, it's nothing, so I'm not going to worry about it. But in April, the university has a mammogram ban, and they were making a trip to campus in April. But for me, I was not going to be able to make it because I had a conference trip the same week. So I called them to set up a time like, could I just come and do the mammogram ban myself? And they go through a series of questions that they'll ask you, and one of the questions is, do you feel any lumps? And I said yes. And they said, well, you can't come to the mammogram van. You need to go to your primary care and get referred. So that's what I did. So April comes, and then I get in to see my primary again. But literally, like a couple weeks before I got into the visit, the actual lump showed up in my breast. So that was kind of a sign, but still, my brain's telling me it's
Mm,
nothing. It's, just dense tissue. So I go to my doctor, and it only really takes her like a couple seconds to feel around. And she just lays my arm back down and says, we need to get you in for the mammogram. And that happened the very next week. But I was doing a mammogram and an ultrasound. So you do the mammogram, and after they squeeze you in the machine, well, this is my experience. The technician walked out of the room and just told me to sit there. And that moment felt eerie because it was like, her face was serious. But I knew I had to go to the next station, which was the ultrasound. So they moved me to the ultrasound room. The technician does her exam, and then she says, "Wait here, I'll be back." Again, it's feeling eerie. I'm like, this is something's not right here. And then at that time, the doctor came in the room and he started speaking to me. And I'll tell you, when whatever he was saying to me, my brain just kind of shut down. But I remember him saying that I am what he's seeing is a high grade, high risk cancer. And whatever he said after that, I just kind of was stunned. And because I recall that he just kept asking me, "Do you have any questions?" And I just couldn't answer. "Do you have any questions?" And then eventually I said no. But they were going to have me come back the next day to do the biopsy. Um, so next day comes around. Well, first I get back to, I was going to just go back to work because again, my brain is just gone. So I get to the parking garage. I call my sister-in-law, and I'm just really confused. And I'm thinking, what is happening right now? In my prior life, did I do something that was wrong to put me here in this moment? But after talking to her, I calmed down and went back to work and, acted like nothing was wrong. And then the next day I had the biopsy. And so I went in, you go to your doctor's appointments, you're supposed to ask questions, what should I do? What should I know? The only question I asked, and I asked twice, was, could he be wrong? Could he be wrong? And that the doctor was a resident, which I figured out because behind the doctor's screen, the attending came in the room and she grabbed the ultrasound wand and gave me the best, and I think I put this in my blog, the best and the worst education in the next 5 minutes, because she used the wand to go over the lymph nodes and the breast tissue to show me what breast cancer looks like on an ultrasound. So from that moment, I knew I got breast cancer. So for the next like week and a half, knowing that I had breast cancer, they were still doing some tests to figure out what type of breast cancer, what stage am I in? Um, I'm living life, going to work, but I probably could not tell you anything I did during that week because I was just stunned and scared a little bit. So at the end of it, I was diagnosed with stage three triple negative breast cancer, which is a rare form and it's an aggressive form. It spreads pretty quickly, which is why I felt it in my lymph nodes first before the actual tumor. So after being diagnosed, you meet with a team of physicians. I have a primary oncologist, I had an oncology surgeon, I had a plastic surgeon, The university also gives you a nurse navigator who is there to answer your questions, keep you calm 24 hours a day. You can just call and someone's there to just, keep you from going online and doing the Google search and finding all the bad things about the disease. So my treatment consisted of I did 14 to 16 rounds of chemotherapy, and it was every week. And so the effects of chemo, I started to feel the first week. I started to lose my hair, my all my hair on my face. Typically, when you do chemo, you also, for me, I had to do a steroid and Benadryl so that I wouldn't have these reactions. But the steroid made me balloon. I probably put on a good 50 pounds, what felt like in a week, because I was just, swelling up pretty quickly. But after I did the 14, 16 weeks of chemo, then I had to do four more, um, a really strong form of chemo, and they call it the Red Devil. I have to show you the picture sometime, Stephen, that the medicine is actually red. But as soon as it hits your system, you know why they call it the Red Devil. So I did that four times, and that was at 3 week intervals because your body really can't take that type of treatment on a weekly basis. And then I went through 25 sessions, which was every day of radiation, which caused a pretty bad burn. I still have a kind of a burn here on my skin. Um, but I did that, and after the radiation, I had to take a few months so my body could heal. Because then that December of 2022, I had a bilateral mastectomy. So I had both of my breasts removed, even though the cancer was just on my right side. But because of the risk of having it in my family and then the stage of the cancer, I felt it was, best effort to save my life is to have a bilateral mastectomy. After I did the mastectomy, they do additional testing on the lymph nodes that they remove. They remove the ones who are cancerous, but then they remove one or two more just to check to make sure that it hadn't spread anywhere else. Um, I had good prognosis from treatment, but it did not remove all the cancer. So that moved on to more treatment. So I had to do another year of chemo by pill version. So every day I took a chemo pill and it turned my hands and my feet, my nails all black. My toenails fell off. Um, but all this to say that, it helped me. I'm here. I celebrated my 50th birthday last year, and so I don't want to sound like woe is me. I made it. I made it through this treatment. So it has become my mission. While in treatment, I was the youngest in the room. I was only 46 when I got diagnosed. Um, there were a lot of people that were coming far and wide to get this treatment, and treatment for chemo, it just wears you out. And so for the people who had to drive to Columbia, the university has this gift fund, and with this gift fund, you can use it to get housing, transportation assistance, whatever you need so that you can get your treatment and not have those stressors. So the last year and this year, I've hosted trivia to benefit this gift fund, and in total, I've raised 16,000 and about $400 for them. Um, but the one thing I would definitely want to share with you guys today is that 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer. So if you can think of 8 women in your life, one of them, if they already haven't had it, someone is going to get breast cancer here in the United States. And just some facts for you guys. In 2025, there will be about 320,000 women that are going to be diagnosed with breast cancer, but also approximately 3,000 men will get breast cancer. So this isn't just about women, it's about men and women. And so every first of the month, I try to put on my social medias for men and women to do their self-exams. Even if you aren't at high risk, I think just today, with all the chemicals in the air, the processed foods we're eating, it's just popping up everywhere. And so I really want to make it my mission to, just educate the community.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is I know that I don't know anybody personally with breast cancer. The only kind of experience I have with seeing somebody deal with cancer is my line brother Joel and kind of seeing him navigate the different stages. But just hearing you kind of, tell your story, I think sometimes like obviously if you don't experience it or don't, if you don't know somebody who has, there's a lot that you miss. But just the extensiveness of being diagnosed, like before you even got to treatment, um, I didn't even realize how layered all of that was. So yeah, just kind of a testament to like one, how strong you are, and two, just everything that is a part of that process. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have a million questions. I don't really know where to start, but like I said, it's like a new experience for me because I don't know anybody personally. I don't know. Donald, do you know anybody personally that's had it?
I don't think I know anybody personally. I know some people kind of tangentially, and then back when I was at the university, at the Games, we always did breast cancer awareness month initiatives, programming, and education. So, we even included folks in the Columbia community in that as well. So, and not that I knew them personally, but we had some, like I said, some loose connections to the conversation.
Mhm. You know what I think is important? The thing that I missed, and um, you guys having me here today is just hearing one, my story, but also um, mentioning that we have to advocate for ourselves. You
100%.
hear often that African American men and women, when we go in for a diagnosis, um, we're almost, I don't want to say blown off, but it just doesn't, the magnitude isn't there. And had my sister-in-law just not, kept telling me, you gotta go back, you gotta go back. It could have been worse for me. And so now when I go to the doctor, even I know my body, even if they're the educated ones, if I don't feel good about something, you have to really verbalize and say, no, look, I have insurance. I need to use it.
Hmm.
But I got really lucky because I probably could have caught it sooner and not had such extensive treatment. Had I listened to listen to my ear and say, actually, why don't we just do the mammogram? Because, I'm in my 40s. That's when you're supposed to start doing your mammograms anyway. So, um, if anybody listens to this day and they get one thing, and that's to advocate for yourself, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, you mentioned, well, one, thank you for telling your story. I appreciate that. But
Mhm.
when you mentioned the first time that the doctors or whoever were talking to you and you kind of went blank and you said your brain was just like tapped out, when did you come back? Like at what point in that early process did you say like, okay, now I've heard what's going on and I need to essentially do something about it? Because I could imagine hearing that for the first time you go numb and you stay numb for a while because it's
Mhm.
like this doesn't feel like reality. It's at least not my reality. So when was
Mhm.
that I guess real for you to say, okay, this is where we are?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Donald. And I have thought about that for a while because it probably was even after I started treatment that this is real. First you have to have the surgery to put the port in, and you think your mind is starting to adjust in. It doesn't. It takes a minute to really feel like how is this happening? I am never felt this sick in my life. And it honestly, in treatment, probably after my second treatment of being really sick and not getting sleep, is when I'm like, I'm in this. I'm really in this. This is real. Um, but yeah, it took some time. Because it's about trying to figure out what is this cancer, scared, being a single woman, having to, now try to figure out how I'm gonna work, pay my bills, keep my house together. It's a lot, and your mind doesn't. It's not overnight, that's for sure. But I think I probably started treatment a few times because the very first picture I took at my first treatment, I was still smiling because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this treatment and I'll be better, not really understanding that when I go home tonight, I'm gonna be the sickest I've ever been. So you probably, if people cross my path, did not see fear for a while because my body was just like, oh, well, this is simple. We'll do this and we'll get done, but it's not.
Yeah. I can only imagine like the physical toll is obvious, but the mental and emotional toll that you've kind of alluded to and insinuated about, talk a little bit more about what that part of the journey was for you. Like, how did you navigate the different moments where, like you said, you're starting treatment and you're a little optimistic, so to say, but then you're in the trenches of the treatment, so to say, and you kind of the reality starts to hit of what's happening to your body. Like your body's trying to fight it, but it's taking a lot out of you. And then, like you said, you still have all these responsibilities. Like nothing about life has stopped. So
No.
it just how did you navigate, mentally, emotionally going through the different waves of this process?
Yeah, I first will go back to the nurse navigator that I had. You could tell that she knew what she was doing and she knew what things I was going to face and the questions I'm going to ask myself because before I could ask the question, when we would see each other, she would talk to me about, how you're doing, have you started seeing a therapist? Um, Work, are you taking time off work? Which I really didn't take time off work, so I wish I would have done that. But it me talking to the nurse navigator, I leaned on her really hard. And when you are working so closely with someone who's trying to keep you alive, they become like your big sister. And then, of course, with my therapist, my conversations really leaned on I had the fear of planning anything in the future. One, trying to make it day by day, but I still had a lot of life to live, and I was so fearful of talking those things out that I started to really isolate myself. I didn't really talk about even being sick a lot because I was scared. It was like if you talk about it, it's real, then something bad's going to happen. So I didn't want to face it. So I was just really trying to keep it all in, and that really made treatment hard because I wasn't resting. And it's not just about treating your body, you have to treat your mind.
Mhm.
Because if you are not healthy in your head, it doesn't matter if it's cancer, it could be a simple cold. If you're not good in your head, that's going to linger for a long time. But I have to give it to the nurse navigator who would call and check on me every week when I was in treatment. It almost felt like I was her only patient, and I know I wasn't. Um, but when I finished treatment, I was even scared to finish treatment because then that kind of cut our relationship off. It didn't really cut it off, but I didn't see her every week. And it's almost I miss her because she became a part of me. And so now I'm trying to I do support groups and she hosts those, so I do get to see her every month, but I still haven't let go of that connection because it is mentally a lifesaver.
Yeah, can only imagine.
What kept you grounded in that? Like you talk about this idea of like not wanting to plan for the future, and you were young at the time. You are young still in this conversation of saying like I have so much life ahead of me. I think there are certain stages of adulthood where tomorrow becomes a hopeful thing, but also a terrifying thing because it's saying like will it happen and what does it look like? So when you have the added pressure of the treatment and everything that you were going on, what kept you grounded or positive, looking toward what tomorrow could be?
Well, I'm an aunt. I have a ton of nieces and nephews, and I know that if they see me happy, that they're happy. So I had to, mask the sadness, which does it really keep you grounded? I'm not sure, but I had so many people that I didn't want to see worried.
Hmm.
So I had to remind myself that I have to show them that you can beat cancer. You can beat cancer, and you still can be happy and enjoy things. And so every time I would see family, it was very helpful, and it was helpful for them to be able to go to sleep at night and fear that am I going to survive this? Um, but while I probably didn't think about the future, I was really in the now. I did not, each day was an important day because when I got to wake up, I got to see my friends. I still got to go to work. Um, so to be grounded was just including my community and my treatment and being strongly connected to them and to my faith. While I didn't go to church because of my immune system was pretty weak, I did watch online, but I also have a close friend of girlfriends from my church that we do a Bible study. But um, grounded for me was just keeping connected to my community and showing them that I'm fighting for my life, but I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I feel like the community aspect is of course important, and you've made it clear that like you had different areas of support groups, almost like different kind of factions, so to say. Um,
Yep.
so I'm glad about that. And I kind of want to circle back to advocacy for a
Yeah.
second because one, like to your point, I think African Americans in the health space, we're not we're not taught to until I won't say until it's too late, but it's something that we learn much later. And I think that kind of speaks to the relationship that a lot of African Americans have with their health in general, like even being scared to go get things checked out, go to the doctor, just in fear of maybe hearing something that they don't want to hear, anything that might be discouraging from the standpoint of just something not being well. And Donald, in terms of like things that you've dealt with from the IBS standpoint, I don't know if you have a moment, but I know like early on for me, when I first got diagnosed with Crohn's, um, my mom always tells the story, but the original doctor wanted to do surgery right away to like remove an intestine, essentially.
Hmm.
Um, and my mom was just kind of like, something in her was just like, is the surgery like necessary? Is that the only option, or is that a last resort? And luckily we did get a second opinion. I didn't have to have the surgery. Now I did have a boatload of colonoscopies and endoscopies is what I called them when I was a child. But I had a boatload of those. But just again, that advocacy piece becomes so important. And I think me as an adult, I've become so comfortable talking with doctors and asking questions because I was doing it from, 12 or 13 essentially. But yeah, Donald, I wasn't sure if you had any kind of scenarios where you felt like you had to advocate for yourself or you saw that look a certain way for you and some of the things that you dealt with. But I think the advocacy piece is really, really important for us specifically.
Yeah, I mean I've been sick all my life. It is what it is. I don't have a chronic illness. But aside from that, my immune system is not the strongest. So, you cough in Indiana, I'm gonna get sick in Chicago. That's just how it has worked for me. So, and plus I have just come from an older family. Like I'm the youngest of a lot of generations. So it wasn't lost on me like to go to the doctor and these things. My problem is I have an invincible spirit. I think partially because that's just my personality, but because I have seen the quote unquote worst in other people like around me, I'm like, oh, well, they can make it. If that happens to me, I'll be good. So just from a preventative care aspect, like as a people, we cannot have that mentality. You can have that invincible spirit and say, I will make it, but also tell yourself, I need to put these other systems in place or, get this medical team or get my community or whatever so we can make it together. But yeah, the last time I was in the hospital, once I was actually diagnosed with IBS, I was in the hospital for like 10 days.
Hmm.
And they thought maybe it was Crohn's. They thought it was a few other things, and it was just test after test. And at some point, I didn't realize how sick I was. I mean, I had dropped 26, 27 pounds in a like very short amount of time. And it's not a whole lot on me anyway. So it was like very noticeable. I didn't realize how sick I was until a nutritionist came in halfway through my stint. And I'd never met with her before. She had never seen me. Maybe she had looked at my chart briefly before she came in, but she immediately looked at me, lifted up my gown just at the kneecap and was like, "You've lost some weight recently?" And I was like, "Yeah, how you know?" And she immediately clocked like malnutrition just because I couldn't consume any food. So I was just like, a stranger just looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And that clicked in my head was like, "You're not invincible like you think you are." So yeah, that comes in different phases and waves. Yours obviously different than mine, but yeah, trying to advocate for yourself and to say, you know what, whatever I need to do let me know what that is. And I've appreciated my medical team because I had people who encouraged me to ask questions, and that's not always the case. You know, some
Yeah,
doctors are trying to get in and out because they have other patients, but like you said, your nurse navigator probably had other patients, but you felt like you were the only one. That's the
yeah,
relationship that I feel like gets to survivorship.
that's for sure. You know, I when I think about cancer, and advocating, it's really important. And I think about any health issue that we have. The statistics for how it affects, or how many of African American affects, is always higher. I know for breast cancer, I believe it's about between 38 and 40% um, higher for African American women to get breast cancer than it is Caucasian. So, if you think about it, the one person that you can help ask those questions or know that there are questions to be asked, it saves lives and it helps your guys' treatment. I don't want to say be smoother, but you're not going, a year down the road thinking, oh, I missed something.
Mhm.
So it's really important to get these stories out there. I'm glad you guys brought that up today.
How do you feel and what do you feel like your perspective is now that cancer is in the rear view? Like in terms of how you live with hope, how you live with encouragement, or the honest question of do you live with that hope, encouragement after the fact, or is there a balance that I would imagine is delicate, but this balance of like obviously I'm hopeful and I'm enjoying like life and being present, but also is there that thing in the back of your mind of still being concerned or worried? Like kind of what is your relationship with that now? How does that present for you today?
Well, there's always the worry. I think every, sensitive feel, if I feel any pain that feels like that initial pain, it worries me. Um, because of the type of cancer that I had, and the fact that it hit my lymph nodes, and you have lymph nodes throughout your entire body, so it's always there. But I will tell you that the one thing that I got from this treatment and this experience is that I don't let a lot of things bother me that seem small. I used to be really sensitive about everything, but that person is gone. I don't have the energy to worry about something so frivolous. So I feel like I'm more in the now and I'm enjoying life because I'm not letting little things bother me. Even though I have that fear in the back of my head, I think I can enjoy life better. And I can impart that on, people that are even younger people that, okay, I want you to know in the grand scheme of things that that's not very big and you shouldn't put your energy in there. Even with I've got some nieces that are starting college and sophomore in college, I try to tell them like, life is much bigger than the mistake you just made. So yeah, I have that fear because cancer can always come back. I mean, I was already at stage 3, and if it comes back, depending on where it is, I'm going to be in stage 4. So it's going to always be in my head, but I try my darnest not to let it be everything. And I don't know about you guys. When I first started seeing my therapist, she would always ask me, "What are your hobbies?" I could not tell her what a single hobby was. I'm like, I don't know. What do I do? So I've also started doing things like, I did the trivia fundraiser. I'm thinking about doing my own podcast, that true crime podcast. I'm telling you, I've got something in my family that I could start with, but I got to get that approval. But I'm now thinking of what other things can I be adding to my life to bring joy? Because you never, you even if it's not cancer, we can all not wake up tomorrow. So we have to be able to, live what you're living today because it could be gone tomorrow. So I thank cancer for that it's kind of wakened my brain to some of those small things I was giving too much energy to.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you said that word because while you were talking, I was thinking like, I wonder where's joy in this conversation because this obviously is a very real and serious conversation. But in the sense that it's necessary, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily meant to bring you down and to, have, I don't know, sorrow and pity in this conversation because
Mm-mm.
you obviously still have life. Like we are in this conversation. But when we talk about joy, how do you continue to find joy extending from what you just said in this life after cancer? Because oftentimes I feel like our brains go to the afterlife of cancer and not the life after. So you still here and still able to find joy and bring joy to other people. So I know we've struggled trying to figure out what our hobbies are on previous episodes before, but what continues to put a smile on your face when you wake up every day?
I'll tell you, I do see people that I've been in treatment with that live in they're out of treatment and but their mind is still like they're there, and I see that and I hurt for them for not being able to move forward. But I have to thank my therapist and reminding me you've got to find things that bring you joy. And so I want to make sure that I feel really good when I put a smile on someone else's face. And so even with like Stephen, we have our daily devotionals. We don't really talk about much. We just talk, but it brings a smile to both of our faces. So it's, those things that I'm like, if I'm able to brighten someone's day, I feel good about it. And then also, I'm pretty proud of myself of wanting to, put my neck out there to do this podcast and, possibly another one, and then just whatever I can do to advocate for the community that I'm in. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and we are nothing but service. And so I'm excited for some of the projects we're trying to do this year for our community. So, as long as I'm getting my feet out there and doing something that I, haven't done before, and I'm okay, and I'm trying to tell myself if I fail at something, it's okay, you can fix it. Those are the things that bring me joy. But yes, Donald, when we talk about cancer, it is a serious topic. But we can't be scared of cancer. You have to realize that you can beat cancer and you can still live with a smile on your face. And so hopefully I can continue to do that to people that I talk to.
Absolutely. Yeah. We typically end our episodes with a checkout, which is perfect for you because we do takeaways from the conversation. And while we can give our takeaways, I also know that you have a call to action as well, which would be a perfect checkout also. So I'll start with my takeaways. I think, if anybody's watching or listening, whether it's breast cancer or whether it's any type of medical diagnosis, disease, concern, whatever the case may be, continue to find your joy, know that it is temporary, and trust in yourself. I think a lot of people don't trust that they can make it through whatever, the process or whatever they're navigating, that they can't make it through because it seems so daunting, because it seems like such a tall feat because of all the negative aspects of what you're dealing with, just because it's not ideal, it's not convenient, all of these things. So I think the takeaway is find joy in the pain that you're experiencing. That was something I was thinking about when Donald asked you when you were answering. Just being able to find joy in your pain, I think, is very key for situations like this. So those are my takeaways.
Yeah, my takeaway would be as a serial procrastinator. Do not procrastinate when it comes to your health. Be proactive. Like you said, you know your body. If something is a little off, okay, you might give it a day or two just to see if whatever passes. But after 48 hours, if it's not urgent within that 48 hours, go and check on that. Because you don't want to put off something and then you don't have any other days to figure out what that is, right? I would rather be in front of that. That is the only time that I know that I am proactive. So preventative care, be proactive. Do not procrastinate when it comes to health and wellness. That would be my takeaway.
Okay, my takeaway is one is, you got to continue. The fight is real, but the only person that's going to take care of you is you, and you have to definitely advocate for yourself and do not be ashamed to raise your voice or be very stern about, no, I need to get this done because my quality of life is important to me, and it's, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. But another takeaway is that I am really proud that I've now connected with two more people about the importance of, like you said, Donald, checking your health, getting those yearly just physicals. I mean, we think about physicals for young people, but well, as we age, continuing to, check yourself so that you don't have anything that can sneak up on you and catch you unprotected. But I'm so proud of my takeaways that I've met two more people that I was able to share my story with, and hopefully inspire them to, one, do your self checks as men can get it too, and to just be better about our health, African American health for that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to encourage listeners to do, check out, anything like that?
Well, anyone who's listening who wants to, ask me about, any more anything in depth about my story, I'm happy to talk to them. I'm happy to even share, questions that they need to be asking. But I want people to know that you can still find joy in life. Don't give cancer that energy. Don't let it take your life away from you. You fight it and keep your chin up. Whether you win or, you don't survive, you still win because cancer can't beat us. We can't beat cancer cannot take us on our own. So build your community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that was an amazing checkout of an amazing conversation. And don't say that the Just Checking In podcast isn't versatile, because we are. Y'all think we don't be talking about nothing. Learn you something now. Get you some notes. Write it down. Okay. But until the next time that we check in with y'all on our next episode, we'll catch y'all.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
No problem.